Have you ever noticed that you don't fall for the most interesting person in the room? You fall for the one who feels safe. Not safe like comfortable. Safe like they probably won't disappear. And you tell yourself that's just your type. That's just what attraction feels like for you. But what if it isn't attraction at all? What if every relationship you've ever wanted, every person you've ever chased, was never really about love? What if it was about one single fear you've been carrying since you were a child? Stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you changed how I understand every relationship I've ever had. Picture this. You meet someone. They're warm. They text back quickly. They don't play games. They show up. And instead of just enjoying it, your brain immediately starts calculating. Will this last? What happens when they see the real me? How long before something goes wrong? You're not excited. You're waiting for the ending. And then, maybe they pull back a little. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe it means nothing. But something in you goes completely cold because you already knew. You always know. This is the moment where most people think, I have trust issues. I have anxiety. I'm just broken in some way. But that's not what's happening. Not even close. There's a psychological pattern called anxious attachment. It develops in early childhood, usually when the people who were supposed to be your safe place were inconsistent. Sometimes warm, sometimes cold. Sometimes present, sometimes completely gone, emotionally or physically. Your young brain did something incredibly logical. It learned that love is unstable, that connection can disappear, and that you need to stay alert, always, because the moment you relax, that's when people leave. That pattern didn't go away when you grew up. It followed you into every relationship you've ever had. Here's what nobody tells you. When you have this wound, you don't actually look for love. You look for proof that someone will stay. Think about that for a second. You're not asking, does this person make me feel alive? You're asking, does this person seem like they won't abandon me? Those are completely different questions, and they lead to completely different choices. You might stay in a relationship that's going nowhere, not because you love this person deeply, but because leaving feels like another abandonment, another confirmation of what you already believe. You might chase people who are emotionally unavailable, not because you enjoy the pain, but because somewhere in your nervous system, inconsistency feels familiar, feels like home. And here's the part that's really hard to hear. Sometimes the people who are genuinely stable, genuinely kind, genuinely present, feel almost boring to you, because your system isn't calibrated for peace. It's calibrated for survival. You've probably seen this in someone you know, or in yourself. The person who keeps going back to someone who treats them badly, and everyone around them says just leave. But they can't, because that relationship, as painful as it is, feels known. And known feels safe when you've never experienced anything else. Or the person who finally finds someone good, patient, consistent, real, and they sabotage it. Pick fights that don't need to happen. Pull away right when things get close, because closeness is exactly what triggers the fear. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it's just you, lying awake at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation, searching for the hidden sign that something is about to fall apart. Not because anything is wrong, but because your body genuinely doesn't know how to believe that something is okay. Here's what I want you to understand. This isn't weakness. This isn't you being dramatic or needy or too much. This is what happens to a person who needed more consistency than they received. You adapted. You survived. You built an entire internal system to protect yourself from a pain that was very, very real at the time. The problem is, that system is still running, in a life where you no longer need it the same way. And the most painful irony of anxious attachment is this. The very thing you do to protect yourself from being abandoned, the clinging, the testing, the pulling away first, is often exactly what pushes people away. You create the ending you were always afraid of. Not because you're broken, because you're still playing by the rules of a game that ended years ago. So what do you do with this? You start by just seeing it, not fixing it overnight, not forcing yourself to be different, just noticing, oh, that reaction I just had. That wasn't about this person. That was about something much older. That tiny pause between the trigger and the reaction. That's where everything changes. You're not looking for love. You were looking for the thing you needed most when you were small and didn't have words for it yet. Safety, consistency, someone who stays. And the good news, the real good news, is that you can learn to give some of that to yourself first. Not instead of love, but before it. So that when someone good finally shows up, and they will, you're not waiting for them to leave. You're actually there.